What if the scariest stories aren't fiction, but real-life mysteries that defy explanation? Tonight, we're unraveling 5 cases that will chill you to the bone, from a poison plot that terrorized a city to vanishings that left no trace. These are the nightmares that haunt detectives, families, and anyone who dares to dig deeper. Ready to step into the shadows? These stories will make you question everything and sleep with the lights on. True crime fans, you've heard the cases that make headlines, but what about the ones that slip into the darkness? The crimes that shocked the world, then faded, or the vanishings so strange they're barely whispered about. From a deadly scheme in Chicago's drugstores to a mother and child lost without a clue, these 5 mysteries will grip your soul and leave you questioning what's possible. We're diving deep, every creepy detail, every bizarre clue, every theory that keeps these cases alive in the minds of those who can't let go. This isn't just a video, it's a journey into the heart of true crime's darkest corners, and it's going to be unforgettable. So grab a drink, lock the doors, and settle in. You're about to unravel stories that will haunt your dreams. Stick around to the end for a question that'll ignite some wild theories in the comments. Your take could spark a breakthrough. Picture this. It's 1982, and you're in a Chicago drugstore, reaching for a bottle of Tylenol to ease a headache. But what you don't know is that someone has turned that bottle into a weapon. In just a few days, 7 people, ordinary folks, from a 12-year-old girl to a young mother, would be dead, poisoned by a killer who was never caught. This is the Chicago Tylenol Murders, a case that changed how we trust the medicine in our cabinets forever. It all began on September 29, 1982, in Chicago's suburbs. Mary Kellerman, a lively 12-year-old, woke up with a cold and took an extra-strength Tylenol capsule. Within hours, she collapsed and died. That same day, Adam Janus, a 27-year-old postal worker, took Tylenol for a minor ache and died suddenly. His brother Stanley and sister-in-law Teresa, grieving at his home, took capsules from the same bottle to cope with their shock. Both collapsed and died within minutes. By the end of the week, 3 more victims, Mary Reiner, Mary McFarland, and Paula Prince, a flight attendant, were dead, all linked to Tylenol. Autopsies revealed a horrifying truth. The capsules were laced with potassium cyanide, a poison so potent it could kill in minutes. Investigators raced to drugstores, finding tampered bottles on shelves, some with extra capsules swapped for deadly ones. The deaths sparked a nationwide panic. News broadcasts warned people to throw out their Tylenol, and Johnson & Johnson recalled 31 million bottles, one of the largest recalls in history. Police discovered the tampering was localized to Chicago, with at least 5 contaminated bottles placed in different stores. The FBI launched a massive investigation, chasing hundreds of leads. One man, James Lewis, emerged as a person of interest after sending a $1 million extortion letter to Johnson & Johnson, demanding payment to stop the killings. Lewis, a conman with a shady past, was convicted of extortion but denied any role in the murders, and no hard evidence tied him to the cyanide. Despite thousands of interviews and forensic tests, the trail went cold. The case not only left families shattered, but also led to tamper-proof packaging, a direct response to this tragedy that reshaped the pharmaceutical industry. So, who was behind the Tylenol murders? One theory points to a lone killer with a personal grudge, perhaps against Johnson & Johnson or a specific store, meticulously tampering with bottles to sow chaos. Another chilling idea suggests a random act of terror, someone wanting to instill fear without a clear motive. Cyanide was easy to obtain in 1982 after all. Some investigators believe multiple tamperers could be involved, given the number of bottles and stores affected, though the precision argues against copycats. Then there's James Lewis. While he was never charged, some suspect he had an accomplice or knew more than he let on, though the evidence is shaky at best. Each theory leaves more questions than answers, and that's what makes this case so maddening. The Chicago Tylenol murders are haunting because they struck at the heart of everyday life. 7 lives, parents, siblings, a child, were stolen in days, and the killer slipped into the shadows, leaving no trace. Every time you twist open a tamper-proof cap, you're touching the legacy of this unsolved horror, a reminder that safety is never guaranteed. What keeps this case alive is its mystery. Was it a single mastermind, or did others help spread the poison? Drop your theories in the comments. Your perspective could shed new light on this decades-old nightmare. Brace yourself, because our next case will tug at your heartstrings in a very different way. Envision a cold November morning in 1979, a quiet cornfield in upstate New York, and a teenage girl lying lifeless, shot twice, her identity a complete mystery. For 35 years, she was known only as Caledonia Jane Doe, her story buried with her until a breakthrough gave her a name but not her killer. This is the tragic case of Tammy Jo Alexander, and her murderer is still out there, walking free. On November 10, 1979, a farmer in Caledonia, New York, made a grim discovery: the body of a young girl, aged 13 to 19, hidden among the corn stalks. She had been shot twice, once in the head, once in the back, with a .38 caliber revolver. Her body was dragged from a nearby road to the field, suggesting a deliberate attempt to conceal the crime. She wore a blue jacket with auto embroidered on it, jeans, and a delicate heart-shaped necklace that would later become a key clue. There was no wallet, no ID, nothing to hint at who she was. Investigators noted she had been dead for less than 24 hours, and the lack of defensive wounds suggested she may have trusted her killer. The case hit national news, with detailed police sketches circulated widely, but no one came forward to claim her. For decades, she remained Caledonia Jane Doe, a ghost in the system. The FBI joined the investigation, combing through missing person reports, but the trail was cold. The girl's fingerprints and dental records led nowhere, and her case faded from the headlines. Fast forward to 2015, when a determined artist and a childhood friend changed everything. The artist, who had been haunted by the Jane Doe sketches, worked with police to digitize and share them online. Meanwhile, a woman in Florida reported her friend, Tammy Jo Alexander, who vanished in 1979, might match the description. DNA testing confirmed it. The girl in the cornfield was Tammy Jo, a 16-year-old runaway from Brooksville, Florida. Tammy had a troubled home life, often escaping by hitchhiking up and down the East Coast. She was last seen in the spring of 1979, possibly heading north with a friend. Police now believe she knew her killer, given the personal nature of the attack, but no suspects have been publicly named. Despite the identification, the case remains open, with investigators still seeking tips to find her murderer. Who killed Tammy Jo Alexander? One theory points to a predator who targeted vulnerable runaways, preying on girls like Tammy who hitchhiked alone. The 1970s were a dangerous time for hitchhikers, with serial killers like Ted Bundy active, though no direct link exists. Another possibility is a personal dispute from her hometown, someone from Brooksville who followed her or met her on the road, fueled by a grudge or betrayal. A third theory focuses on a trucker she might have met while hitchhiking, as truck stops were common spots for runaways to seek rides. The heart-shaped necklace possibly a gift, could point to a relationship gone wrong, but its origin remains unknown. Each theory feels like a piece of a puzzle, but the full picture is still out of reach. Tammy Jo's story is a silent cry for justice that went unheard for 35 years. She was forgotten in life and death, a runaway whose dreams were cut short in a lonely field. Her killer walks free, and the details of her final moments remain locked away, known only to them. That heart-shaped necklace, dangling in every sketch, feels like a clue screaming to be understood. Could it hold the key to her killer's identity? We'll revisit this at the end, so keep it in mind and share your theories in the comments. For now, get ready, because our next case takes us from a quiet field to a corporate conspiracy that shook a nation. Imagine a criminal gang so bold they hold an entire nation hostage, not with bombs or guns, but with poisoned candy and letters that mock the police. In 1984, Japan faced a nightmare unlike any other, orchestrated by a group calling themselves the Monster with 21 Faces. Their campaign of terror targeted innocent shoppers and baffled detectives, and when it was over, they vanished without a trace. This is the Glico Morinaga case, and it's as bizarre as it is chilling. It began in March 1984 in Osaka, Japan, when masked intruders broke into the home of Katsuhisa Ezaki, the president of Glico, a major candy company. They kidnapped Ezaki at gunpoint, demanding a massive ransom. Days later, he was released unharmed, but the group wasn't done. Calling themselves the Monster with 21 Faces, they sent letters to Glico and the media, mocking the police and threatening to escalate. By May, they shifted tactics, claiming they had laced Glico candies with potassium cyanide, a deadly poison, and placed them on store shelves. Panic erupted as supermarkets pulled products and parents checked their children's candy. No poisoned candies were found in this first wave, but the group's letters, signed with a grinning face, kept authorities on edge, their tone dripping with arrogance. The terror intensified when the group targeted Morinaga, another candy giant, in late 1984. This time, they made good on their threats. Police found 21 cyanide-laced Morinaga candies in stores across Japan, each labeled with a warning sticker that read, "Danger, contains cyanide." Miraculously, no one was poisoned, but the discovery sent the nation into a frenzy. The Monster demanded millions in extortion, orchestrating elaborate drop-offs that outsmarted police stings. One letter taunted, "We're laughing while you scramble." The investigation grew desperate, with over 125,000 officers involved. In a tragic turn, a police superintendent, overwhelmed by the case's failure, took his own life in August 1985. Days later, the group sent a final letter. "We're done playing." Then, they vanished. Despite one of Japan's largest manhunts, no arrests were ever made, and the Monster with 21 Faces became a ghost in true crime history. Who was the Monster with 21 Faces? One theory suggests the Yakuza, Japan's organized crime syndicate, orchestrated the scheme for profit, using their resources to evade capture. Another points to a disgruntled employee from Glico or Morinaga, someone with insider knowledge and a personal vendetta, though no clear suspect emerged. A third idea posits corporate sabotage, perhaps by a rival company, aiming to cripple the candy giants, given the precision of the attacks. Some even wonder if the group halted their spree out of guilt after the superintendent's suicide, a rare hint of conscience in their brazen campaign. The lack of answers fuels endless speculation, each theory as elusive as the group itself. The Glico Morinaga case haunts because it turned something as innocent as candy into a weapon of fear, threatening families across Japan. The monster with 21 faces outsmarted the nation's best detectives, leaving behind only their mocking letters and a trail of chaos. Who were they, and what was their true endgame? Was this a twisted prank, a ruthless vendetta, or something even darker? That grinning face signature still lingers in Japan's collective memory, a taunt from the shadows. Was it a game, or were they after something more? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's unravel this enigma. Next, we're heading to a Texas mall where a Christmas shopping trip became a nightmare. It's December 23rd, 1974, and the holiday season is in full swing at a Texas mall, filled with shoppers and Christmas cheer. 3 girls, 2 teenagers, and a 9-year-old head out to buy gifts, laughing and planning to be home by dinner. But in broad daylight, they vanish, leaving behind a locked car and a mystery that's haunted Fort Worth for 50 years. This is the case of the Fort Worth 3, and it's a puzzle with no pieces. Rachel Trelica, 17, Renee Wilson, 14, and Julie Mosley, age 9, were inseparable that day. Rachel, a newlywed with a warm smile, drove the trio to the Seminary South Shopping Center in Fort Worth, a popular spot for holiday shopping. They arrived around noon, planning to pick up gifts and be home by evening. Witnesses saw them in the mall, chatting and browsing, but by nightfall, they hadn't returned. Their families grew worried and checked the mall, where they found Rachel's car locked in the parking lot with wrapped presents and shopping bags inside. Nothing seemed amiss, no signs of a struggle, no forced entry. Police were called and the search began, but the girls were nowhere to be found. The next morning, a strange letter arrived at Rachel's home, supposedly from her, claiming they were safe in Oklahoma and would return soon. Handwriting experts quickly deemed it a fake, deepening the mystery. The investigation intensified, with police and volunteers combing Fort Worth and beyond. Witnesses came forward with unsettling details. One reported seeing a man in a pickup truck acting oddly near the mall, possibly watching the parking lot. Another claimed to have seen 3 girls resembling Rachel, Renee, and Julie in a vehicle with a stranger, looking distressed, but the lead went nowhere. The FBI joined the case, exploring connections to other missing person reports, but no trace of the girls emerged. Not a shoe, not a hairpin, nothing. Rachel's husband, Tommy, was questioned due to his proximity to the case, but he was never charged, and no evidence linked him to the disappearance. Over the decades, the families held vigils, posted flyers, and chased tips, but 50 years later, the Fort Worth 3 remain missing, their fate a blank page in a story that never ends. What happened to the Fort Worth 3? One theory suggests abduction by a predator who saw an opportunity in the busy mall, luring or forcing the girls away. The 1970s were a time when stranger abductions were less scrutinized, and serial offenders often targeted young victims. Another possibility is a runaway plan gone wrong. Rachel, at 17, might have wanted to escape her new marriage or family pressures, taking Renee and Julie with her, only to meet foul play. A third theory points to someone close to the girls, perhaps known to Rachel, who used trust to orchestrate their disappearance, though no solid suspect has emerged. The fake letter adds another layer. Was it a cruel hoax by the perpetrator, or a misguided attempt to give false hope? Each theory feels like a shadow, slipping away when you try to grasp it. The vanishing of the Fort Worth 3 is haunting because it happened in a place that should have been safe. A crowded mall, days before Christmas, surrounded by people. Rachel, Renee, and Julie were stolen from their lives, leaving their families with half a century of grief and unanswered questions. That fake letter, with its hollow promise, feels like a taunt from the void, a clue that leads nowhere. Their story is a wound that never heals, as loved ones still hold vigils, hoping for a miracle. What do you make of that letter? Was it the killer's trick or something else entirely? Next, we're diving into a modern mystery that's as heartbreaking as it is baffling. In April 2017, a young mother prepared for a beach day with friends, her baby girl secured safely in a car seat, sun hat in hand. But Keir Johnson and her 8-month-old daughter Chloe never reached their destination, vanishing into one of Virginia's most baffling cold cases. On April 30th, 2017, 34-year-old Keir Johnson left her home in Hampton, Virginia, planning to meet friends at Buckroe Beach with Chloe. She never arrived, and when she didn't answer calls, loved ones reported them missing. 2 weeks later, on May 14th, Keir's black 2013 Kia Optima was found abandoned at a trailer park in Newport News, Virginia. The vehicle was locked, showing no signs of struggle. Inside, Chloe's car seat was empty. Her phone and personal belongings were missing. The search was vast. Detectives, search teams, sonar-equipped dive squads, and cadaver dogs scoured land and water. Keir's phone briefly pinged near the car, but then went silent. There were no footprints, no tire tracks, no signs of a wreck, nothing to indicate what became of them. Keir was described by family as responsible, loving, with no history of mental health issues. She hadn't planned to disappear. There was no unusual bank activity, no canceled plans, no packed bags. For 8 years, the case remained unsolved, and then, in February 2025, a breakthrough. Carlos A. Johnson Jr., 46, Keir's ex-boyfriend and Chloe's biological father, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, despite the bodies still not being recovered. Officially, local authorities now treat the disappearance as a homicide case. Keir's twin sister, Ter Petway, reflected, "That's who we've always known to be the alleged suspect. I'm glad the police finally made an arrest." Authorities confirmed a $35,000 reward remains active for information leading to the recovery of Keir and Chloe's remains. The story of Keir and Chloe is a pain without closure, a mother and child erased with no trace. But now, thanks to years of advocacy and an arrest, the legal process is beginning. Their family clings to hope for justice and answers. Chloe's empty car seat remains a devastating symbol, one that demands we keep searching and keep questioning. If you have information, no matter how small, that could help locate Keir and Chloe, please reach out. Someone, somewhere knows something. This isn't just a mystery, it's a call to action. In February 2025, charges brought the case into the courtroom, but answers still depend on community memory and leads. Keir and Chloe may not yet be found, but their story, their absence, continues to echo. From the poison-laced terror of the Chicago Tylenol murders to the heart-wrenching disappearance of Keir and Chloe, these 5 mysteries weave a tapestry of fear, loss, and unanswered questions. The monster with 21 faces taunted a nation. Tammy Jo Alexander waited decades for her name. The Fort Worth 3 vanished in a festive crowd, and a mother and baby slipped into silence. These stories remind us that truth can be more chilling than fiction. Which case shook you the most? Was the Tylenol killer a lone phantom, or was that Fort Worth letter a killer's ruse? Drop your theories in the comments, and let's keep these cases alive. Your voice could spark a breakthrough. Next week, we're diving into more unsolved enigmas that'll keep you up at night, so don't miss it. Smash that like button, subscribe, and check out our true crime playlist in the description for more chills. With that said, Thanks for watching, and until next time.